All right, everybody, welcome to the Scho-Zone. It's your host, Ryan Schofield, coming at you from my studio now. We're not going with the little green screen background. We're actually doing this the regular old-fashioned way. I've got a little bit of a new streaming platform. I'm trying to learn these things new, try to make things a little bit better. So thank you for tuning in. Got a bunch of new subscribers now, so thank you very much for doing that. This is kind of all coming full circle right now. We really got going about 6 weeks ago. This all started with me kind of ranting as the Cardinals were really kind of at the low point of baseball as far as me being a Cardinals fan that I can possibly remember. Were blowing the game to the Brewers, and it looked like all hope was lost for the season. The following day, Ollie Marmol got ejected from the game, and all of a sudden, ever since then, they've been one of the better teams in baseball. And as I record this, I'm getting ready for them to start off a doubleheader against the Kansas City Royals, and they're only 4 games back from the Milwaukee Brewers. Bit of an interesting where the fan base, where we are as Cardinals fans on this one, as far as if Cardinals Twitter is a pretty interesting community, I must say. There's a lot of there's some burned, jaded fans like myself, and then there's the happy-go-lucky, just people I really am just jealous of that they can just be so positive throughout this whole miserable experience that this season has been so far. But here I am now recording with you, and I just want to say thank you to everyone that recently started subscribing. If this is your first time watching an actual episode, as I'm noticing as I'm getting into this whole YouTube experience, I'm noticing that my shorts are what's really drawing people in here, and occasionally I get some people that go onto the episodes. Really had a good one last week when I had Mr. Jason Alexander on. That was one of my most popular episodes. I don't know how to feel about that when I have Jason on. Those are usually they have better ratings on that one. I don't want to let that get to his ego too much. I can't let that, let him run with it. He's already better than me at golf. I don't need him to be being better at podcasting than me when this is what I do, but that's what the rest I'm facing. I think Jason's going to be on more in the future, and I'm starting to branch out to some people about getting on here. So it's not just me ranting and raving. Ultimately, that's what I want to get this to being. I want this to be me talking to other people. As you're kind of noticing, it's a little bit of a travel blog post. I'm going from game to game. Got a lot of games coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'll probably touch down on that one. But I just guess I wanted to come with the full circle of where I am 6 weeks ago as a Cardinals fan and how I'm feeling about the team now, and just how baseball is just a fucking really funny sport. It's such an evil drug, I swear. I don't know why I do this to myself. I'm knowledgeable about baseball. I still have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. For example, the Houston Astros are one of the best teams playing right now. Of course, they lose Kyle Tucker and then they get red hot. That's just how that works. But for the Cardinals right now, how do I feel about the team? They're 21-14 in their last 35 games, which is, 7 games above 500. Where I go with this one, and they're only 4 games back. They were, as close, I want to say as many as 9 games back, recently. Here's where I come across on this. Now, I get it, can't take away what's been done. It's all about how you're playing right now at this moment. The Cardinals are currently have a 53% winning percentage, or 53.3% winning percentage. They're 6 games above 500. They have still been outscored by 33 runs. Okay. Now I get it. Wins are wins, but even in this, stretch of that 21-14 that I just mentioned, which we're going back to the start of June now, June 1st, they have scored 154 runs, or only about under 4.5 runs a game. And they've allowed 150 runs in that same period of time. They're just grinding these ones out. Okay. They do have a good record in one-run games. They're 17-12 in one-run games on the year. There is something to that. They do seem, they're meant to play ugly baseball. That's just what I'll say. That's probably because they have a manager that probably sleeps with ugly women. That's the only way I can explain. That's how he carries himself the way that he does. But this is a staggering stat I noticed, is that though they have had 20 games all season which have been decided by 5 runs or more, they have been on the losing end of 14 of them, whereas they have won 6 of them. So that's 15% of your games, 5 runs or more, that you've been just absolutely shelled in. It's just about under 1 in 5. I'd say most of those are probably Lance Lynn starts if I had to guess. And I mean, this is just where I'll kind of evaluate the team. I'm going to kind of give them a broad sense. I mean, this is where I come at. I'm not your casual fan. I'm not a numbers geek. I'm a little bit of everything. I touch in all elements of this one. I like to go with baseball, especially with how I watch. There's the intangible fact of how I feel, especially as a gambler. How do I feel about having money on you? How do I feel about having money against you? Um, One thing that has been, reemerged in this period of time is that Nolan Arenado has gotten hot, if you want to call it that, hot. Yeah, the camera's a little tight. I'm learning that, we have to do tighter shots on things. We do a portrait mode, not landscape mode. That's new to me. Or maybe I should do the landscape mode when I shoot this, but easier to, look a little better, I guess. But, you can't see my little quotes now. I've got my little alligator arms, but Nolan Arenado as hot. I have mentioned this before that Arenado, there's a number of 1,400 games, which is really just does in a lot of third basemen. Third basemen are some of the most underrepresented, or one of the most underrepresented positions in all of Major League Baseball. Just recently, did we even start adding third basemen back into the Hall of Fame with Chipper Jones and Scott Rowland. Aside from that, we hadn't elected anybody into the Hall of Fame at third base since 1960. And the reason being is that it's considered to be an offensive dominant position, and nobody really holds up for the career numbers on there because really the emphasis is on defense. I mean, when you think of great third baseman, we're mostly thinking of great defensive third baseman, I think. The hitting just doesn't seem to hold up so well, or those guys usually seem to age out of that position. So Arenado is now not even really that elite third baseman anymore. And this is just the best way to sum up the hitting. He was always, now again, there was the Coors Field possibly that skewed him. So that's why I like OPS plus as a stat. I'm not going to go directly into the numbers, but he was a 300 type hitter, borderline 300 type hitter, and a guy that OPS'd in the 900s, basically your typical MVP candidate. That was obviously going to take a step back, leaving that ballpark and going to St. Louis, which is more of a pitcher-friendly park. But he was still holding his own there for a little while, and he was in the 800s or so, where he was a 30-type home run guy and, had some pop in that bat. Since he hit that 1,400 number, which is basically the start of last season, he's been a sub 800. Last year, he was like an OPS of about 770 or so, or 780 or whatever. This year, he has the same batting average that he has last season. His OPS is 80 points less. There is just no pop left in that bat. And you can even notice it in the way they're talking about him in the broadcast with Arenado. I mean, the other day, he hit a foul ball that sounded good. And Skip was making, or Chip, I forget, it's Chip Carey, right? I'm just the worst with this shit. I'm turning into that old man where I'm just going to call them the old thing. So I know of Skip Carey, so I'm pretty sure this one's Chip Carey. Innocent mistake. It's just what I do. I'm just really losing my mind. And I also smoke a little bit too much pop. But hey, don't drink any alcohol anymore. But we're getting excited about the sounds of foul balls right now. He's hitting like 330 over his last couple of weeks, and he's got an OPS of 700. It's just nothing but singles. It's better than nothing. I'm not going to complain about base hits, but the fact of the matter is that Nolan Arenado is not a middle of the order guy. Like a guy that hits 260 with really no power threats. That's a 7 or 8 hitter. That's what he is now. And the team can't really afford to have him be that, as we're going to be going with this one. Some positives to emerge out of this one. Alec Burleson. Alec Burleson is a player that if he is on your team, you can be a winning team. I want to say that Alec Burleson should probably be like your 5 or 6 hitter on a winning team, not a direct middle of the order guy. I like the idea of Wilson Contreras being the leader of the team, someone that has a fucking pulse, that gets excited about things. That was, he made the blood rush to the tip the other day when he got that fucking tying home run against the Nationals and actually showed a pulse around the bases. Goldie, I mean, he's your consummate. Goldie, the way I look at him is that he's your baseball player's baseball player. The people I know that played higher levels of baseball are people that truly appreciate baseball. They would always comment about Goldie and what a hitter he was. Like he just kind of gets that way. He's robotic. He goes about his business. I'm sure outside of baseball, he's got some personality, but he's just very professional. You can have one guy like that as a leader on your team. But Arenado, again, I've described it as him. He's just he seems very moody. He doesn't seem like he'd be a fun hang. Like I said, he strikes me as the kind of guy that if you were going out with the boys and some girl didn't give him, he went to talk to a girl and she kind of blew him off a little bit, he'd probably be a pain in the ass to deal with the rest of the night. That's kind of the way that I go about it. You need to have somebody that gets some fire going that's also got some ability. You can't be just, some guy like, that's just a bench player that gets everybody fired up. So it's nice having Contreras with that. I think Mason Wynn can be your leadoff and shortstop, or that on a winning team. These are some pieces that are in place. I mean, really, there's overall we've got some good pieces in there where Nolan Gorman, I'm sorry, I got to move on from him. I get it. He's going to have a monster season with somebody else. Gorman, I just can't deal with it. High strikeout guys piss me the fuck off. And again, it just really seems like that they have told Gorman the approach to the going up to the plate is that, hey, until you have 2 strikes, just swing away, bro. Just swing as hard as you possibly can. And honestly, I even think that with the 2 strikes, he even does, but it just seems like the at-bat does not start with him until he has 2 strikes. I think that he would be an interesting experiment if he was in the home run derby, because he could just as likely to me go Josh Hamilton and hit like 30 balls out in a row. He could also strike out in the home run derby. Anything would not surprise me with Nolan Gorman. He does have that kind of power, but I just can't, a guy that strikes out as much as he does, can't deal with it as the way I want to. Michael Ciani, again, another one of these just great Cardinal finds where, I mean, he's legitimately one of the best outfielders in all of baseball defensively. The kind of guy that can be, I want to say he's your 4th outfielder. I don't know where we're going to do with as these guys are getting healthy now, because we are getting Lars back. We have Burleson there. Donovan and Edman. I mean, these guys who can play every position. I like having that. It's good to have these versatile ball players. It just sucks when you have Ollie Marmol as the manager, as the guy who coordinates all of them. I don't trust the best decisions to always be made. And where it's getting on, though the Cardinals are winning right now, it just feels like that runs are just harder to come by. Like, I couldn't help but be reminded, I'm a huge fan of Dennis Leary and his special Lock and Load, where he said something about, how him and his friends, when they were big into lewds, how they were wearing bell bottoms, and there they were in the middle of a sexual revolution wearing clothing that guaranteed they wouldn't get laid. And here we are, we're kind of in this offensive revolution in baseball, or the balls are flying out of the ballpark, and if the Cardinals are doing everything they can to just not fucking hit home runs. It's getting very, very tough. It just really seems like they have to labor through. It doesn't seem like that there's a lot of, they have speed on the bases, but it doesn't seem like it ever stacks in order where they can get a string of guys going first to third. It seems like there's always somebody blocking up the pass. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it comes easy for them. On all of this, here they are. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, again, fans can feel good about this. Again, I will feel better about things if the Cardinals get to a positive run differential. And who knows? I mean, they could be in the driver's seat. They could be in first place of the division and not quite get there. The Brewers, on the other hand, who I've seen in person, are 69 runs to the positive, and I watched them against the Dodgers, where it just seems like the Brewers are better. I mean, this is the big thing. They have a good young star. Kristen Yelich maybe was hurt all of those years. I mean, again, it's always been a little suspect, the home road splits, for how things work in Milwaukee. Again, I don't believe that the Astros are the only team that did anything wrong, and I don't think the Cardinals were innocent in all of that. That's just speculation on my part. No proof on that. It's just that, I just really don't believe that one team was the only team doing that, and there's some interesting data out there that you can certainly look at. And Kristen Yelich, home road splits with very interesting that he only hit home runs at home for as long as he did there for a little while. But he's back on top of his game. In seeing them live in person, everybody on their team kind of looks like a threat a little bit more. And the pitching, they just seem that they're doing what the people think the Cardinals do. The Cardinals have that reputation of being the smart organization, and I'm just not sure necessarily that it is there. But more importantly, they will be competitive. They will factor into the playoff race, but will they make any moves to get better? I just don't know. I mean, and this is really the biggest issue that I have, that if the one thing that would get me going and excited about the Cardinals possibly making a sniff at this thing would be, one, if Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt were the guys that they were a few years ago and not the guys they are today, then this is a different story we're talking about with this roster. But unfortunately, it just seems that they may have mistimed that window on there, and nothing we can really do about that. As fans, I should say, there's really nothing I can do as a fan, but there's nothing I think the front office can do about that. I think they just got to kind of stick this one out. On the other side of things, it would just be nice, when the Gracefo is going to be, or Gracefo, I forget, I'm terrible with the names. I would be nice if the Cardinals had one young pitcher. Like I long for the days of second half Jack Flaherty, I believe in 2019, where it's nice having this young guy out there that you feel like every fifth day gives you a real chance to shut down any lineup. And then not having that, I don't really know how I feel about any one pitcher on the Cardinals right now. Well, I can tell you, I don't trust Lance Lynn at all. It's literally, I mean, it's a redundant joke, but it is just the case of an innings eater. He's just out there to fill us out a little bit of time. And if we can be tied when he's out of the game, that's good. But I mean, it's really just if he can get us 5 innings. The only time he pitches deep into a game is if I bet him to not go deep into a game. So that literally, if you look at his starts, that's how I think he's done in his last 5. The one good start he had, I'd bet him to not record 17 and a half outs. And of course, he breezed right through 6 like it was his job, which it actually is his job to do that. He just only does that job every so often. Sonny Gray, he's just not the true ace. He's a very, very good pitcher, but I can't rely on him to be that guy that I was just describing, where he can go out. I mean, he can get lit up in the first inning and then he can still, settle in and then still give you a good 6. I mean, that's a pro right there. I do, that is to be appreciated, but he's also somebody that can be cruising through 5 and then just get out of the game. I mean, I jokingly say, I mean, it was a short that I just put out there. When I got his, I was in St. Louis, we bet his over 5.5 strikeouts. That was nice. We also climbed the ladder on him to get 7 or 8 strikeouts, which he didn't do. And he had guys at the 2 strikes. He just couldn't quite get over the top, or just couldn't quite get everybody put away with that last pitch. And I just don't know. I mean, that's just been who he's been. He's a solid pitcher, but I just don't know if that, I mean, really in the National League, at the end of the day, what are we even doing here with the Phillies? I mean, because they're going to roll out Wheeler and Nola 1 and 2, and I don't know anybody in baseball who's putting out anything like that. And they have their lineup. But baseball is a funny fucking sport, as I've been mentioning. Again, on the other side of things, if you were to say 6 weeks ago, the New York Yankee fans who I live amongst were riding so high, and who I don't blame them. I even said on this podcast at the time, if I was a Yankee fan, I would be one of the most unbearable people to be around. And trust me, they kind of were. But I also said, let's see how that holds up. And sure enough, prior to that little stretch of good baseball, the Yankee fans were a little critical of the construction of the roster, and they were in a little bit of a panic. Then they ripped off this ridiculous stretch of winning. Even still, right now, they're playing terrible baseball. I mean, I think that they're like 5-15 in their last 20. I know they're 15-19 since June. So while the Cardinals are 21-14, the Yankees in that time are 15-19. The Yankees still, though, have almost 182 runs scored in that time and 184 allowed. So they're only a -2 run differential, where, again, look at the runs that they're scoring. I mean, obviously, again, the runs they're allowing are a bit much. They did get Garrett Cole back, which has not been the great, that has not been the greatest for them. I mean, Aaron Judge has been just, I mean, he's just a freak. It's just, if without for him, I don't even want to know. I mean, this could be really bad. I mean, I don't know if they'd win any games, but despite him playing at this level, they're still going through this cold spell when he is literally, I mean, he's on the bonds, on the juice kind of factor. And I'm looking forward. I'm going to be seeing him in person for the first time. And I'm actually going to New Yankee Stadium for the first time. I'm going to be doing that Monday, the 22nd. They're going to be playing the Rays. And it seems to be that the big followers, how I rope you into watching these episodes is by posting those shorts. So I'm going to be trying to get some good Judge videos and some Juan Soto. So I think I have a view. I'm going to be getting a view of the right-handed batters better. So I'll be a behind view of Soto. I'll be mostly focusing on Judge for that one. But, it's at the point too, it's where it's like, it almost just doesn't register with me. Like he's such a fucking giant freak that it's like, it doesn't impress me the way that it should, that he does what he does. It's like, almost like he's a LeBron James of basketball, in the sense where it's like, oh wait, you're that big and you're that much of a freak and you're so coordinated. Yeah, of course you're that good. Although I like Aaron Judge way, way more than I like LeBron James. But Yankees in a bit of a, you can sense that it's a little tense behind the scenes there. I mean, when you had the Judge blow up a Stroman, again, I love that. Again, Stroman, he played for the Cubs, okay, and he got into a Cardinals fans, and it seems easy with him that he can fall back on the race card. But then when he had what had happened and Judge rips into him, it's like, he could just be an asshole and also be black. That could be both things can be true. It doesn't have to be one because of the other. It's not always the case. but he, showed up his teammate. Um, then you had Volpe. I mean, these little things of that, the younger generation. I mean, they're really, I forget who was just, recently critical about them saying that, people just care more about the image there. But, you would never, ever in a million years, especially with Yankee fans. I mean, the idea that Volpe cost his team a run in a game that I believe cost his team the game, potentially cost his team the game because he didn't hustle home to score the run. I mean, the one game, that's just shit that does not happen in the Bronx. Don't give them a reason to turn on you in the Bronx. I mean, fuck. Robbie Cano was one of the best players out there, but if you talk to any Yankee fan, they would fucking complain about him not hustling out. Or it wasn't as big of a deal that he didn't hustle out ground balls until he signed with the Mariners, and then it became the thing that everyone grasped on. But the Yankee fans, I mean, I'll say this, they're harsh, but they are reasonable. They do expect the best out of you, and I kind of like that a little bit. It gets annoying to be around, and until they have somebody catches them for the most World Series, which unfortunately the Cardinals are the closest team. We're 16 behind. So, I mean, really, this is what bothers me about the Cardinals. Again, like I said, I just want to live long enough that the Yankees don't have the most World Series. Once that happens, bullet to the back of the head, and I'll fucking die with a smile on my face. If it's the Cardinals, even better, but I just don't see them quite getting there this moment. The Red Sox are a little bit frisky. Then they really just they show up against the Yankees. Rafael Devers, I'm just going to say, he really, really goes under the radar. I posted some shorts of him. He hit 2 home runs when I saw him in person. Very, very just I mean, the ball that he hit the other day on Sunday Night Baseball, it was a Vlad Guerrero type thing. I love somebody that can hit just about anything. That was an up and away pitch, and it went to right center field. That's not a ball that's supposed to go there. I don't know how that happens. You just have to have freak strength and totally broken wrists. And I have to just put this on a pause for just 1 second, which actually with my new technology, you guys might not even notice this. So just one. All right, I'm back to recording here. I just had to get the Cardinals game on because I mean, obviously, I'm a Cardinals. I mean, it started off somewhat as a Cardinals podcast, but I mean, ultimately, I can talk about a lot of anything. I look forward to at some point once the summer ends and I can get to a little bit more of a stable life and football has a more routine schedule. I'll probably start getting to the live stream. We got to get those subscribers up though, which has been happening. I really, really appreciate everyone who has been subscribing. We doubled in the past 6 weeks. I've like almost tripled my followers, which again, we'll focus on the positives. The numbers are still not quite there, but closing in on those triple digits. And then, as people start adding on, it just gets easier to keep adding them. And we'll get this thing out there. And I'd like to continue doing this. I have fun doing this. I have fun learning this. And if it just ends up being me talking to the wall, then so be it. But I do see that I have some followers coming back there, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, so the Yankees, it's just this baseball season is a wild marathon. I mean, we're just basically past the halfway point, and the All-Star break really is a grand reveal. I mean, as far as a gambler, I will tell you this one, you almost have to reset everything to zero. Any team that was playing a certain way, just forget about it. Some team that was playing hot going into the break is going to come out and fucking fall flat on their face. Some team that had a tailspin is just going to come out and just do well. It's just the way that it has always been. So keep that in mind when you are betting going forward. I mean, don't actually listen to anything I'm saying. I'm getting my ass kicked in all regards of sports right now. But hey, I'm having some fun. But yeah, no, I'm taking it on the chin. Ohtani has not come through when I've needed him to. I've just a little sniff off, but I was getting by the skin of my teeth, and then it just has to come around. But we've got quite a hell of a schedule coming up as far as games I'm going to be going to. So the travel schedule goes as follows. We're going to be going on the 22nd. I'm going to be at Yankee Stadium to see the Rays and the Yankees. Then the 24th is going to be a real lot of fun. 24th, I'm going to have some people on the road with me. So we'll see what kind of content we get out of there because we are going to be doing a day trip. It's going to be a 12:30 game in Pittsburgh. Going to be seeing the Cardinals and the Pirates. Then we're going to hightail it out of there, head to Cleveland to see the Tigers and the Guardians in Cleveland, and get back to Rochester where I'm starting my day all within the day. It's going to be about a 20-hour day. THC and caffeine will get me going, or boozing. It used to be booze and ladies. Now I don't have booze, and I haven't had a lady in a while, which is why I'm aging in reverse all of a sudden. I've been having an awful lot of fun, and women hate me, and that's fine. I don't really care. I'm just, it's amazing how much easier it is to do what you want to do if you don't have to answer to a female. That just, but I'm sure that I'll eventually want to get laid again at some point in the next, week or two. But not going to sell myself short anymore in that regards. And I don't know why I just mentioned all of this on a live podcast on sports when it's really just kind of my traveling experience. We're going to be hitting a Permanente Brothers. I'm going to have my buddy Ed Roof of 5-Star Shitters, who I also planning having on a guest to just talk about just different grilling tips. And one of my best friends in the world is going to be also there as well too. We'll see how these guys, maybe we'll do a live stream from the car, just kind of keep everybody engaged. Who knows? We'll see. But 2 games there. Then the following week, I'm going to be doing a day single admission doubleheader in Baltimore. I don't know if I'm going to stay for both games. Very, very, very intrigued. Looks like I might have to order a certain t-shirt I saw. It says "Suns Out, Guns Out." I'm loving Gunnar Henderson. Me and my buddy. It's one of those cool things about how, baseball, you can just bond with friends over. Like, I don't really talk a great deal with my one buddy about much other than sports, but like us, just anytime Gunnar Henderson hits a home run, we send a text to each other. That's, a nice little alert. And he's obviously, he's my buddy. He whoever's the big go-to on his fantasy teams is usually his favorite player. He has named his kids Bryce and Nolan. I can't confirm or deny that has not had anything to do with fantasy titles he has won. But hey, I mean, it's good namesake, I guess. What could you do? But then I'll be doing that, and then we're going to be going into Minneapolis in the beginning of August. From the 12th to the 14th, I'm going to be checking out the Twins and the Royals. That's going to be a nice, fun road trip that I'm looking forward to. Got some possibilities for some things I'm going to be doing at the end of September, which will be right before the start of football season. I have, depending on the way it shakes out, after Labor Day, I'm going to have a couple days off in a row. I might be able to pull off a 3 ballpark trip down in the South. I'm debating that. I got to hit some bets if I'm going to do that one, I'd have to say. Really need to hit a big ticket on there. I don't mind. I've been able to, finance most of this one. But I do need to hit something up at some point because, again, I'd like to maybe pump some money into this thing, start getting this to be looking good and well. And yeah, I mean, that's where I like to go. But anyways, as we're sitting here right now, the Yankees are almost at 60% winning percentage, and the death is, it's doomsday for Yankee fans, whereas the Cardinals have 53% winning percentage. They're 4 games out of first place. I think they're the same amount of games out of first place. And we don't know how to feel. Like I said, I'm not the most optimistic just yet, but if like they get said, they can score some runs. And I mean, at the end of the day, I just need to know what the fuck happened to Jordan Walker. That's a real problem, that when a guy like him I don't even know where he would play if he was being good, if he was good right now, what his road to playing time is in baseball, or because if he's a corner outfielder, well, that's Burleson. I mean, there's Donovan. I mean, where are these guys all playing? I don't know. I mean, it's he was going into the season last year. He was the odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year, and now he can't even make it into Major League Baseball. I'm going to leave you on that notes, but again, I'll keep pumping out the shorts. I'll try and pump out an episode here or there, try and get some followers. Again, check out my episode with me and Mr. Jason Alexander. We touched on some great stuff with golf. And thanks for tuning into the Scho-Zone. Please like, subscribe, and do what you got to do. Let's keep this one rolling, and I'll be back sometime later on in the week.